Okay, gang, we are going to mix some paints. The goal of this palette, the reason we made it is we need to have something that we can compare to so we know where our whites are and our blacks are. That's pretty easy, light and black and white. But the grays are the hard part, and how do you get one that's this dark and then medium gray, light gray, those sorts of things, in the different colors. And so we've created these palettes so that we can mix paints a little bit easier. Now, each of you will probably have an individual set of oil paints. These are some ones that I have that we can use as well, that are in a little bit larger tubes. But we'll utilize these guys. This is a blue, ultramarine blue, that French ultramarine blue to be exact. And then I have a tube of white. This first painting that we're going to do, where we're doing these forms, we're just going to use, it's going to be monochromatic. Mono means one, chroma means color, one color with that. And so it's one color, but we're going to have some tints and blacks and whites. Now, paint, when it comes out of the tube, can be a variety of different values. This one, if I unscrew this guy here, and I'm looking at that value of that paint, I'll hold it right over the things here. So we look at it like that. It's like, no, it's darker than that. Right out of the tube, French ultramarine blue is as dark as it needs to be. If you mix black with it, it's really not going to get any darker with that. So this is straight out of the tube, the color we want. So I'm just going to put some for right here for right now. And so if we can squeeze that down, and we look at it here, we can see that it matches the background. And so that's what we're trying to do is mix some stuff so matching with the background. Seems pretty straightforward on our mixing of paint. So I'm going to put the capper back on this one. And the other thing we have is white, a big old hunk and tube of white. On those, we usually go through more white on things, so that got a big monster tube of it. And white, as it comes out of the magic container, as we have here, we look at this, it's the same, okay? And so I'm going to have a little bit of white here. Now, we know that there are other values between these. Now, you don't need a ton of this stuff. This is overkill, probably on what we're going to be using on that. You don't need any more than just a little squeezy, a little dab of it. I'm going to be mixing with some of these pieces here, and so we're going to have those. Now, when you're mixing paints, you start with the light color, and you add the dark color to it. So I'm going to start with these various spots. I'm going to put this one right here. I'm going to put a little bit of white on there. See, just about that much is all I need. And so let's look at it from the side, so make sure we got it. See, there's not much paint really there. You don't need a big old monster bit of it as we're working together. So I'm going to work on this particular value. The value here, I'm going to try to get this paint right here to match the value in the background. So I'm going to take this. Here's one tool you can use. This is called a palette knife, and it's just used for mixing paints on your palette. Some people actually paint with them, which is kind of a cool thing to do as well. But we're not really doing that right now on those. And so you just kind of squish it around, stir it around in its little puddle here, and try and mix it together so you can have it a given value. And so we're mixing it around with the tip like that. And that's a pretty cool deal. Squish it down flat, squish it onto itself. That'll help push it back in towards the middle, mix it around. That's basically what you're doing. You just want to get it blended together really well on those. And so when I look at this, now that I have it mixed out, I could smooth it out just a little bit. And I'm looking at it, I'm looking at this value, and I'm looking at this value. I'm thinking this one is probably somewhere in here, probably closer to this value, huh? So I need to add more blue to it. I need to take more of this here. Now, if I started with the blue and I started adding white, man, I'm going to take a ton of white to get it light enough or dark enough on those sort of things. That's why we always start with this. I think this is pretty close to this value as I'm looking at those, if we're looking at the straight value across. The main thing I am looking for is I'm looking to see that those pieces, there's difference. It's different from here to here, and it's different from here to here, and from here to here as we go down. Here's my other high-tech mixing tool that I have. For those of you home, a palette knife is going to cost you usually around $5 or $6 sometimes. Sometimes you get them a little bit cheaper. So I have another high-tech mixing tool, and that's this. I call it a popsicle stick, but it mixes things up really, really well on that. So you don't have to spend lots of money to get your high-tech mixing tool on that. Okay, and I usually find that it's good to have two on that one, so I can use this one for scraping things clean off of that one, and then I can use this other one for mixing between the two of them. So I need a little bit more of this stuff, and so I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to get a little bit of that back off here, and I'm going to mix it up. Just squish it around, smash it down like that, and mix it around, smash it down, mix it around, scrape it in from the outside. You can even get the side of it like this and get some big scrapes on it with those. And mix it around. So it's gotten a little bit darker. It's not quite as dark as I like it. It's closer though, huh? Definitely as I compare these ones, now we look at it and say, yeah, that is quite a bit darker than what was here. It's not quite as dark as we want for this area, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll add some more to it. Bloop. Okay, I'm going to scrape off some. I'm going to take all of that, and then I'm going to mix it in with this one. Let's mix it up some more. Squish it down, mix it around. Well, that's starting to get there, huh? Ooh, yeah, baby, look at that. That's starting to look like the value that we want, huh? I'm going to scrape a little bit more off. Scrape this off, get just on the tip, like that, and then back into the puddle. Mix it around. And I think we're pretty close. I think we're close enough. We could go maybe just a little bit darker. But I think as I'm comparing it, I'm looking at this one, yeah, that's a lot darker. As I'm looking at the tip of this right here, that's a lot darker than what we really want. In that slot anyway. And so I'm going to just make me a nice little pile of this stuff. And that's going to be my paint for that value. And so let's clean off our mixie sticks. So that we have that. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a little bit of this stuff, and I think I'm going to take a little bit of his friend right here. I'm going to take a little bit of that. I still have a good glop right there, but I'm going to take this right here, and if I added some white to that, it'd probably work out okay. Okay, let's see, I was going to take some from over here, huh? Where's my cleany stuff? It's helpful to have a paper towel around. Now, oils are different than watercolors. They get into everything. Now, and there's no other way to explain it. It's going to get on your desk. It's going to get on your painting. It's going on the paper towel. Somehow it just starts to meander. See, I already got a spot of blue right over here. And the thing about the oil paint is if you have it on your desk and then you take a piece of paper on it, you know, I have a drawing student or something comes put a piece of paper on that, then that's going to get oil paint on their drawing, and that oil is going to ruin their drawing. So we do have to be pretty careful about our cleanup when we get going with those. Okay, so let's start mixing this guy up here. I got some white, smushing it down. Let me hold my popsicle stick so I can smush it down really well. And I've added my white. Smushy, smushy, smushy. I have a lot of residual paint still on my actual popsicle sticks too, so I can make sure I get my extra there. But you'll notice I'm just lightening up the glop there, so I made a little bit of extra, and so that's kind of cool with those. And I think I got lucky and I got pretty close on the first pass here. I'm going to scrape that off like that and get it into a little chunk, mix it up. Scrape it clean. That's how we keep all our paints. scrape it clean. And now if I smooth this out a little bit so we can actually see this a little bit better, kind of like that, we look at it, and let's squeegee some blue on here as well so we can see what's going on. So I'm looking for value change. That's plenty of blue for there. You usually don't have the darkest color on that one. So the value changes I have, this is our dark blue. It's dark, dark, dark. We do that. Looks like this is matching up pretty good with this value. Looks like this is probably pretty good for our value back here. And now we just have to put a little bit of something here. So let's get, once again, a little bit of white. We always start out with the white. And this one's not going to have much blue in it at all, because we need a pretty good transition. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scrape my mixie sticks off. Make sure I have just minimal input there. So I just have a little bit of paint on this thing here. And you'll notice I scraped that thing almost clean, and look how it's already going to the value that we really want on there. A light gray on those. I'm going to scrape just a little more off here to get a little bit more pigment. Use the back side to get a little more pigment off there. And so now I have my light gray value. Scrape off all my extras. Now some people, when they paint, they do this kind of as they go, and that's okay. That's a cool technique to use as well with their values. But the difficulty with that is when you do it in that manner, things just you're always mixing new paint, and it sometimes makes it hard to be consistent on the value of the paint that you're trying to mix. Like first time you mix it may be a little bit darker, then you go back in the same area and you try to mix it up, and it's different. It's a different value. It's lighter or darker or something like that. Okay. So now I have my paint values mixed up, and they do. Let's see if we can look at it in an angle on this one, so we can see it maybe a little bit better. So I have my dark blue, right, and then I have my dark medium. There's the medium blue right in there, the lighter blue with that, and then the white. So I have all my values there mixed up and ready to go. I need to show you how I'd like you to store these things on that as well. So I'm going to move that to there for a second. I'm going to get a piece of cellophane. Hold on. All right. Many of you will have plastic wrap in your home. And that's what we need if you're working at home, is just some plastic wrap. That's what's going to go here. And first step is I take my Magic Mixie sticks, and I want to make sure that they're cleaned off as best we can for transferring of the paint. And so I scrape that one off, and now I'm scraping all four sides off on that. And I have just a little bit of extra paint right there, and so I'm going to take that, put it on the glob, on the dab. And that's pretty good. And once you get it fairly clean, and you still have some paints left here, I'm just going to take this and use my fancy high-tech Kleenex here to clean that off. Paper towel works pretty good too on those. And so these are cleaned, and so I can use them for mixing something else. The nice thing about these is this paint is a water-based paint. In other words, it's a water-based oil, go figure. It's water mixable, I should probably say. That means that you can mix water with it. It cleans up with soap and water. That's what I'm trying to say on those. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my white. I'm going to scoop it off with the, hey, stop that. Okay, like I said, I'm going to take my white and I'm going to scoop it off with my little sticks there and put it right on there. Since I'm going to go light to dark on that one, now I'm going to scrape off all of this stuff. This comes off a little bit easier because I've been mixing it. And then I'm going to just make a little bit of a place right there, like that, for storage. Then I'm going to come here and I'm going to get all of this. And I'm going to make a little spot for it right here, like that. Go to my next one, scrape it all, like that. And then finally come back here and get some of this blue and have it like that, and I can scrape it off like those. Now I can come and mix, I can clean these off and get them ready to go in just a second. Now this is how I'm going to store my paints. And so when I come back next class period, you know, now I can just start painting here and start painting the thing that I need. If I run out of paint, I'll mix up some new stuff on those, but that's the mixing of the paint. Then I'm just going to take and I'm going to fold this over, fold it in half, like this. And then I'm just going to kind of make it so there's not much of a gap in between there, like that. And then I'm going to roll it up like this. And that's going to be how I'm going to store my oil paints. You can, if you want, you can put them like in a refrigerator or something like that, and that'll help keep it from evaporating a lot with those. But that's how you do it. Then next class period, when you're ready to go, you come and you bring out your thing and you find the edge. That's always the hardest part. And you will hopefully unwind it. Yeah, I've got to find it. There it is. Usually there's an edge somewhere. And you unwind your paints. And there we are. I don't want to get paint all over my cellophane on the back side. But now we have those opened up and we're ready to start our painting again. And we can just set these off the side. When we have our brush, we come and we dip it in there, we take it to the paints. We'll do a demo on how to apply paints to the area we're working with on that as well. But that's mixing. When I'm done with the day, take it, fold it in half, and you roll it up. This does not have to be tight. I don't want you squeezing these tight. It can be very, very loose like that, so you can find the edges a little bit easier. And that's mixing paints on how we're going to do that. Here's one more thing. For those of you who are doing some drawings, if you're drawing in class when you're done, you can use a spray fix to spray over your drawing. That'll help freeze the graphite in place. For those of you at home that don't have a spray fix, use hairspray. It sticks hair together, and it will also stick graphite to your surface. It's about the same mixture of stuff. And that is mixing paints. I'm going to take this over to the sink, use some soap and water, and get it cleaned up, and we'll be ready to go for the next time I need to mix up some paints. That's about it. Thanks.